Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 3. Congratulations on getting this far. This is a 6-week course, so after this week, you'll be halfway through with the entire course. So hang in there. I really appreciate all of your hard work for sure, and you guys are doing a great job. I wanted to give a couple of shout outs, just general shout outs, to Betsy for having in her place of great importance essay a lot of really specific details that allow me to see her essay. She wrote about her kitchen as really particular to her and to what about that kitchen makes it special to her. So there's a lot of like really fun details in her essay. Also a shout out to Nasir, who wrote an essay about his grandmother's house, and I loved the moment in that essay where he was talking about how his grandmother played video games uh, while he was away, while he was outside, even though she professed not to like playing video games. It's actually quite a moving essay with some comedic parts. So the purpose of narrative essays really is to tell someone about something in your life, but also it can be to entertain them as well, to have allow your reader to have an enjoyable experience. I would say that the more enjoyable and engaging the experience your reader can have, the more interested they're going to be in reading the essay. This sounds kind of obvious, but sometimes I think people think of essays that you write for college as these dry exercises that you just must do to get your degree. But the more enjoyment that you can take out of writing them, um, and the more focus you can put into the essay because you are finding the experience meaningful, the more meaningful and enjoyable it will be for your reader. So keep up the good work with that. So just a couple of sort of housekeeping issues. How do you find your feedback? I've gotten a couple of questions about that. It's not obvious on Canvas. I did post a video about how to find it, and even if you just go to YouTube and type in how do I view feedback on Canvas, you'll see lots and lots of videos about how to do that. But the basic message around that is that you're going to go to grades, which is on the left-hand column of Canvas, close to modules. You're going to look down and click on grades, and then you'll click on the assignment where you want to see the feedback. And then once you do that, my big comment will be on the side, on the right-hand side, along with maybe any video feedback if I happen to give you video feedback for that. And then above that will be the rubric, which shows the point breakdown where you lost points, where you got points, etc. And then the most important one is the little view feedback tab. It's this tiny little print to the left of the rubric, sort of at the top of the screen. When you click on that, you see your essay pop up, and then on the side, my comments, as well as any colorful annotations, like highlightings that I put on it. So again, not obvious, but super important to be able to look at my feedback. I know that the temptation is to skip the feedback sometimes and just move on to the next thing, but the feedback is what lets you do a good job on the next thing. So it actually, even though it feels like it might be slowing you down, I think ultimately it will allow you to learn and speed you up a little bit. So, but I have tremendous sympathy for how fast this course is moving. So just hang in there with it and try your absolute best to get everything done that you need to get done. Okay, so this week is exciting. We're writing an analytical essay. This is the type of essay that you'll probably write most in college. And an analytical essay is an essay that analyzes something, and to analyze is to break down. So it breaks down some idea, a concept, a theory, something from a book that you're reading, something from an experiment you're doing. It's just breaking something down and looking at it more closely. We're also going to be writing persuasive essays, which is a type of analytical essay, which always includes your opinion. Analytical essays absolutely can include your opinions, but they also can just break down various parts of something. So for example, an analytical essay could be that the iPhone is the iPhone maybe 11 is really wonderful because of the screen size, because of the price point, and because of the colors. Or it could just be the iPhone 11 has and then the three things that it has, and then breaking down those three parts. So it can be focused based on opinion, and it also can just break down concepts. Okay, so analyzing does mean going into detail and breaking things apart, and all of the examples that I'm going to give you for your analytical essay this week do involve your opinion in some way. So, you can absolutely go the opinion route, and you'll see a little bit more how that's done as we continue this week. Okay, a couple of reminders. This week you're going to be posting your narrative essay, and this is the final draft of the narrative essay based on my feedback. A couple of points about that. If you post exactly what you did for the draft, if you were satisfied with that and satisfied with the grade you would get, if you didn't make any changes, then you can just post it as is, as you're in the same way that it was for the draft. Now, no matter what, you got 100 on the draft because I give 100% on drafts. But then you'll see on the rubric the grade you'd get if you made no changes at all. So, maybe you would get like a 75 if you made no changes. And remember, that's an MP, making progress. Anything an 80 or above is passing. So no judgment here if you don't have time to make the changes and you just want to look at the feedback and then say, okay, like I'm going to take it in, and then next time I'm going to be doing the revision. But you do what you can do for this week, because it certainly is a lot. But if you're able to, that's fantastic. And what I do is look at the essays side by side. If you do decide not to make any changes, if you could just make a comment in the comment box that says did not make changes, that's extremely helpful to me, because it allows me really quickly to just put in your rubric grade without looking line by line to see where the changes are, which I will absolutely do regardless, but it's just one little gesture you can do to make my life a little bit easier and give me more time for recording personal videos and things of that nature. All right. So for the analytical essays, you're going to be writing about technology, and you can really pick any form of technology. You'll see that there's a lot of different options about how you can write this essay, and you're analyzing either 3 benefits of a particular form of technology or 3 drawbacks about a particular form of technology. And if you have a topic about technology that you'd like to write instead, as long as it falls under the analytical essay umbrella, you can certainly check with me and most likely write about that topic. There's a sample analytical essay that you will read and discuss in 099. So before writing your analytical essay, you might want to take a look at that essay. It's a student essay by Bianca Hampton, and it's about the game The Sims. So maybe some of you have played that before. It's a great essay because it shows the analytical essay structure really, really well. And it also is fun because it's about a game that I think is a really cool and interesting game. And I used to play it when on the screen it was just these little boxes. There are no people. And what you would do is you would click to make a tornado happen, and then you'd rebuild. So you'd create the tornado and then rebuild everything. So I hope that you enjoy that essay. Good structure, I think, interesting points in it. And then also you'll see a video that has an essay called Disconnected Urbanism. And I use that essay to try to help you see how to take 2-column notes or Cornell notes, which you will then use for writing summary later. So at the end of the 099, you'll be looking at a video where I'm annotating a text called Disconnected Urbanism, and then another video about how I'm talking about how to do this thing called 2-column notes. Listening to that video can also allow you to think about some of the concepts in that article, which could be helpful when you are writing your essay. Okay, in 099, another concept that we've been talking about is annotation. And just because we're moving so quickly, I want to make sure that you know the types of annotation that we've done so far. So we've done vocabulary annotation to review. That's writing notes in the margins about what the meanings of words are, making sure that you're putting the meanings as the words are expressed in the text. So finding the meaning that relates to what's in the article itself, or the essay itself, as the case may be. Writing personal connections in the margins, that's anything that you can relate to or you think is interesting because there's something from your own experience or observations that links with whatever that point is. And then there's two more which you're going to think about this week. One is a main idea and detail annotation, where in one color you highlight the overall general point of a paragraph, and then in another color you highlight the smaller, more narrow, more sensory, sometimes supporting details that go with that big idea. There's more on that in this week, but for example, if you have a statement like technology really distracts us from school, that's the overall main idea for a paragraph, and maybe the examples that the essay writer uses there are texting in class, tech problems with the smart boards, things like that. Those are the smaller details that support the bigger point. I will say that in the analytical essay video, I mentioned that you guys have practiced doing main idea and detail annotations. You haven't yet. This is the first week that you are being exposed to it, and that just relates to, again, the compressed nature of the course. So in this week, you're learning about main ideas and details as well as 2-column notes. So when you hear that on the video, know that you're not going crazy, and we're supposed to practice that. You haven't yet done it. Another thing to remember is that your analytical essay is really just from your own brain, from your own observations and experiences. So I actually would encourage you to not use external sources for your analytical essay. You certainly can be inspired by reading Bianca Hampton's essay, inspired by disconnected urbanism and whatever you've been hearing or thinking about, but it's actually helpful if you don't do research about this essay and really see if you can free write, meaning write everything you can think of first about the topic, about your experiences, about your friends' experiences. The reason why we did narrative essay writing first was to really sort of start to build your skills at storytelling as a way to support your points. So for example, if you're writing about an iPhone and you're talking about how you love how the iPhone 11 has bright colors, well, how do you expand that, right? Well, how you expand it is you can talk about your process of deciding on a color. If you're talking about this phone, you can talk about how certain colors make you feel. You can talk about why you think that the people who created iPhones made them in colors, right? You can say a bunch of stuff around the storytelling that gets to your main idea about colors, if that's the case. Okay. I do in this lesson talk a lot about smartphones. For some reason, you really don't have to stick with smartphones. You'll see that I wrote 3 sample thesis statements that you could choose from. If you are sort of stuck and want something interesting to write about, you can see if any of those resonate with you. You can use one of those directly, or you can modify it to fit your needs. It should be something that you are interested in. If you do decide that you are going to take information from another source, I need you to cite it. And we haven't gone over citations yet. If you make an attempt to cite it, that is good for now, and then I'll show you how to do it more in depth later. But in general, you would do an in-text citation. So if the idea is not yours, you're going to write an in-text citation. An in-text citation is just putting the author's last name and then the page number if it's a book. So if you're thinking about what Bianca Hampton wrote and you want to put something from an idea that she had, you would write Hampton and then the page number in your textbook. If you got something from the web, you're going to do the title of the web page. So that's usually not the article title, but what is right above it. So it's usually something like, wildlife news or something like that, and then a period. There's no PG, there's no comma, and then when you do it this way, the period doesn't come before the parentheses, it comes after. Same thing with quoting. You can quote, and then at the end of your quotation marks, so you'd have the text here, and then you'd have that there. Okay, and the in-text citations bring you to a works cited page, which I will talk about later. So for now, you can just do this if you decide that you absolutely need to get outside sources. As always, email me with questions.